I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts. They're people. One day you will see.
Your blood's gonna bed. I knew it was. The devil came. Made you bad for good. So death is coming to purge this town. I know your name. And I'm gonna cut you down.
But you must not disturb this place. Beasts do not venture above and mean no harm to anyone. If you still insist on hunting them, then I will hunt you first.
You can all run if you want to. You can all hide if you need, but I'm gonna cut you down.
Hello and welcome to Dark Insight episode 2 with myself, Death Note. First off, I'd like to say a great thank you to everyone who has supported episode 1. I got quite a lot more listens than I was expecting, so I'd like to say thank you very, very much to everyone that tuned in. Want to say a big shout out to obviously the Twin Humanity boys, CJ and Paddy, for pushing and promoting the podcast. They did that quite ceaselessly, to be honest. Also Jeremy Greer, he put that out quite a lot as well. And also Vader van Odin, who I would also like to announce who is my new co-host on the podcast. So hello Vader and welcome to Dark Insights.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you aboard. So you are from the other side of the world to me. Obviously I'm based in the UK and you are from
New Zealand.
New Zealand, the land of the Lord of the Rings.
That is correct. Yep, everything we have is opposite. I'm on the other side of the world, other side of the time, and it's morning, and it's winter here for me, so it's cold in my room. I left the heater on last night, overnight, so it wasn't cold when I woke up.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously over here at the moment, it's nighttime and nice and warm. It's very, very warm over here at the moment, considering it's the sun should have gone down by now. It's absolutely scorching. So, so welcome to Dark Insight and thank you for joining me.
Not a problem.
All right, so I'd just like to sort of get into things and just have a little chat about, because obviously I've been talking to you a lot on Twitter, and obviously that's where we kind of met chatting and stuff. And obviously you have a good fondness for the Souls games. Have you always been into the Souls games since they first came around, or?
Yeah, I started in the Souls games quite early. My brother introduced me to Demon Souls before I even had a PlayStation 3. And he imported the American copy because he just heard that it was a great game. He had his ear to the ground and heard on the grapevine that it was fantastic, so he imported it when Atlas brought it over from Japan. And it was very limited release. Yeah. I gave it a go, and I didn't really, because I was in my gaming break of my life, or I didn't have a console. Well, I had a Wii, which I played with the wife. Gave it a go. He was just visiting, so I only had a couple of days to give it a go. Thought it was alright. Found it really hard. But then, my nephew came to stay with us, and then he bought a copy. He bought the New Zealand release, or the European release. Right. And then I gave it another go and pushed through and just loved it. Got way into it. And based on that, I pre-ordered Dark Souls 1. Knew nothing about Dark Souls. But yeah, just knew it was coming out. So I pre-ordered and got way into it. And yes, I don't know, probably about 400-500 hours at least of Dark Souls 1.
Wow. That's a considerable amount. That's a lot.
That's an estimate, because I tried the Dropbox glitch. I could create a new character after I'd got through the game once or twice with platinumed with my first character, and I actually stuffed it up and deleted my character.
Oh no!
And so I had to make new characters. I had 3 PvP characters rocking in Dark Souls 1. Yeah, mostly Dex. I went Dex Faith, Dex Sorcery, and I think I tried a Strength Pyromancer, all for PvP. So I was way into it. Yeah, and it's just kind of gone from there. So yeah, as I say, I started quite early, before the European release was sent out by Namco, before Namco picked it up.
Yeah.
I had played the game, the Demon Souls.
Oh, that's it. That's just it's mad. Sort of obviously talking to people like yourself and everyone that's been into it from obviously day one. Because obviously I'm new into the scene. Like obviously I came on board with Bloodborne.
Yeah,
so
going backwards.
yeah, going backwards. It's been pretty mad actually. It's there's only been a few other games, like I said before, that have drawn me in so much. Like the Metal Gear series. I'm an absolute massive geek for all Metal Gear stuff, and obviously the Final Fantasy
on that one.
Yeah, they're so good. Final Fantasy series, love Final Fantasy. I've been playing them since I could play computer games. When I had an NES, I started playing Final Fantasies from then, and I've literally played every single one from being a little wee lad. And then obviously, and then I fell into found Bloodborne. I avoided them because obviously the difficulty, as I said on my last podcast, because I have a bit of a short temper, so I didn't think I'd get through it. But just following through Bloodborne and talking to the Twin Humanity guys, they made me push through, and now I'm absolutely addicted. Like obviously, I just finished Scholar of the First Sin, and that was, to be honest, that was a hell of a lot more difficult than Bloodborne, I found.
Bloodborne wasn't actually that hard once you got into it.
Yeah, that was the thing. It really was relative. I wouldn't say easy compared to a lot of the games out there, but compared to what I've played, compared to Scholar, it was a cakewalk pretty much, because it's just purely about just timing your dodges right. Whereas I found Dark Souls, you really had to sort of learn their move sets and stuff, like the enemy move sets and stuff. Otherwise, you could get trampled quite easily, and I did get trampled quite a lot. And I got to say, actually, Dark Souls 2 Scholar actually made me rage a few times, and I didn't do that with Bloodborne, to be perfectly honest. So it's yeah.
Nothing wrong with a bit of raging.
It's a shame though. Like I'm glad I'm a bit more grown up now, because obviously when I was younger, raging consisted of controllers at walls, and I dread to think how much I spent on controllers. It was just ridiculous.
Oh, I've spent a lot on controllers, but that's because my kids keep breaking them.
Oh God, that's one thing I'm not looking forward to. Is the wee one stealing the controllers. He tries to do that all the time. Yeah, he's a funny little thing. So yeah, so are you sort of, do you play sort of Final Fantasy as well?
Yes, I'm into Final Fantasy. I would have started with Final Fantasy VII was my first game.
Started with 7. I think that's because obviously it was the first major release, wasn't it, for sort of RPG on PlayStation? It was just huge.
Yeah. Well, I was into RPGs because of my brothers, from previous games on Commodore 64 and also Mega Drive, but we never owned a Nintendo, so I never tried any of the other Final Fantasies before that. And so the first PlayStation Final Fantasy was 7, so it kind of just made sense that we picked it up. Knew nothing about the series. I don't even think I realized. Well, I must have realized there was 6 others before it, but I don't know. I just never really thought about the previous ones.
Well, no, that's totally true, though, because I know people that, same as you, came on at 7 and had never even knew of the previous 6, and they're actually playing them now because of like iOS and emulators and things. They're actually going back to play them because obviously they're re-releasing them on sort of mobile platforms and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. My brothers played through when we were kids, like around the same time. We ended up getting a hold of Final Fantasy VI, I think. And I watched him play it, but I never played it myself. I think it's because I watched him play it, I've never actually got around to playing it. But I played the earlier ones. I've got Final Fantasy 4 or 5 on my phone. I think. The DS version of it. So yeah, I've played a lot of the earlier ones through emulator or phone.
I really like the ones that they the DS ones, because they actually did work to them, didn't they, for the DS versions? If I'm right.
Yeah,
in saying, yeah.
It's all 3D. Like they've got little 3D models and things. You got Cecil as who runs around the world and changes costumes when he changes from a Dark Knight to a White Knight.
Nice. Yeah, I never did get round to. I did have a DS, but I literally bought it just for the new Zelda, Link Between Worlds. I bought it. I bought a DS just for that. Played it, then got rid of my DS after I'd finished Zelda.
Yeah, I think a lot of people pick up a DS or Nintendo consoles for Zelda games.
Yeah, I have in the past. That's pretty much what made me pick them up. But I'm kind of like, well, I've just recently bought a house. I'm not going to probably be able to pick one up for the new Zelda, which I'm absolutely gutted about.
Yeah, houses are expensive.
Yes, very much so. So very worth it though. So
what was your first Final Fantasy game into the series?
Oh God, it would have been 2 or 3, possibly.
Oh, so you're quite early.
Yeah.
See, the problem with New Zealand, we're in the dark ages of video games. Even now, we kind of restricted what we get, and there's always, often limited copies of them, and it's not as a bigger community. Because I hear like people on podcasts over in the UK and America talking about gaming communities, and it's never been as strong or as present in New Zealand. And so back in the 90s, we got very little games. A lot of games weren't even brought here.
Oh, that sucks.
So, yeah, as I say, and we didn't really have game stores to go buy the stuff, and the big department stores didn't care about gaming. It was kind of a niche market. So yeah, it was quite hard to actually get. I actually remember buying our PlayStation. We went and bought Final Fantasy VII and Tomb Raider, I think, the same day. And we went into a store called Bond & Bond, which doesn't exist in New Zealand anymore. And they didn't have a shelf full of games. They had a glass cabinet with a couple of games sitting in it.
Wow.
Like, it was locked away, and there was literally only 2 or 3 copies of each game. And they only had 5 or 6 games. Like, it was very, very, niche, as I say, back then in New Zealand. I may be remembering it slightly off, but yeah, it was a lot harder to get a lot of these exclusive games.
See, that's crazy. Sometimes I kind of don't realise how lucky I am sort of living in London, because obviously everything's there, just everything. And being London, you can get anything you want, anything.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, sometimes I kind of forget that it's all there for me on a plate, and like people like yourselves, like you had struggles getting these things. Like I grew up with them just going to the local market area, and there'd be loads of shops selling games. There's one place that we used to go, and he was really cool. It was like an indoor market, but he used to sell all the sort of NES games, but also like you could go in and trade like Star Wars figurines and all that sort of thing. So I'd go in and trade me old Star Wars or Transformers toys for a little bit of money to get some computer games and stuff. But it is a shame that place got shut down, but I loved that place. I used to spend like so much time in there. And that was next door to the local comic book store as well, which is awesome.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
We had none of that. Like growing up, none of my friends really played video games. They only got into it with the Xbox kind of era with Halo. See, none of my high school friends ever really play games. Not the way they never had a passion the way I do.
Yeah.
So as I say, I've been a lone soldier in the gaming for a long while. I've got my brother, a couple of my brothers are way into it. So I guess they're the ones who I play with and chat with about games.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I think I need to not take things for granted as much. I do think. So, obviously, speaking of lots of games, this week, E3. The big one of the year. Everyone has been going crazy. Obviously, Twitter has been going absolutely bananas. I actually had to put my Twitter on silent because it was just going ridiculous. And I was at work, then at home, and I was trying to go to bed because I couldn't stay out for the Sony conference because it was like 3 a.m, but my phone was just still going bananas. It was just like, oh, I had to turn it off, otherwise I would have never have got to sleep.
Yeah, I listened while I was at work because it was like 2 o'clock I think it was in the afternoon for me. So I just sat and listened to it while I was working.
So, should we have a little chat about E3 then?
Yeah.
Let's. Well, obviously, we'll go through sort of the best and possibly sort of worst things that we didn't really particularly enjoy about E3. Obviously, I've got a few games that I wanted to talk about. Was there anything sort of in particular that you sort of piqued your interest out of the sort of the bigger games that are out there? Was anything sort of indie or anything that piqued your interest?
There's actually quite a few that I was quite keen on. I in general, I thought all the shows were quite good. There was a lot brought to the table. And I was quite happy there was a few surprises, because I've kind of been a bit disappointed with the amount of, I guess, anticlimaxes in the gaming industry at the moment. We seem to know everything that's coming for years ahead. There's no real surprise.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's it gets leaked. So it either gets leaked or there's just, it seems like, as you say, the developers aren't willing to sort of do new IPs. That I think they've just been playing it safe too much recently.
Yeah, they don't want to take the risk, and the funders, people funding it, they're pushing to generate hype, so they can guarantee they're going to make a return on their investment. But yeah, the hype ends up backfiring, because too much pressure is put on the developer to deliver, and that pressure obviously doesn't pay off, like with Assassin's Creed Unity.
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, oh, that's an even better example. That was built up, and I was really keen on it, seeing the early E3 stuff, but didn't deliver.
Yeah, it's such a shame because, as you say, that they know they've spent sort of so much money on a specific game, and they have to try and push it as hard as they can to sort of bring their money back. And one of those games I feel is Destiny. I've been a big defender of Destiny for a while, and I definitely feel like a lot of content has been cut from the main game to sell as DLC to make even more money for themselves, being as Activision. And then seeing this E3, the trailer for their new expansion, The Taken King, I sat there just shaking my head, just in disapproval. I thought it was just so unbelievably cheesy. I've never seen anything so cheesy in my entire life. I really don't. And there was one thing that I found really awkward with that as well. That basically, if you hadn't bought the previous 2 expansions, Dark Below and House of Wolves, you couldn't play their new one that comes in September, Taken King. Which I know, I know some games do it that way, but a lot of games now you can sort of pick and choose your DLC which you choose to play. But they're like, nope, if you haven't got them, you have to buy them. Then you buy that, which some people didn't want to buy the Dark Below because it was not very good, and House of Wolves has been pretty much the same as well. So it's just like, I don't know. I think they're just cheeky, money grabbing, and I've kind of come to an end of a love with that game. I've defended it for so long now. It's just, I've had enough. It's just like, nope, not playing it anymore. Nope.
Yeah, fair enough. I actually picked up my PlayStation 4 with Destiny. I got the Destiny bundle, the white console. But I enjoyed it. And it was fun, and it plays fantastic. It was, but yeah,
yes.
I got a bit bored, and I flogged it off to go towards Bloodborne. I think I because a bonus at the local game store. If you trade in, you got like an extra trade-in credit for pre-orders. So that helped me fund Bloodborne.
Yeah, they did that for Bloodborne over here as well. Well, I can't remember what. I think it was Devil May Cry I traded in, actually. The DMC, the remaster one that they did. But they, as you say, they give extra credit. So I thought, Bloodborne, which I'm glad I've done.
Good, yeah.
But-
You wouldn't be here if you didn't.
No, that's it. But yeah, Destiny, it's I agree with you, such a fundamentally good game, but lacking in so many other areas. And I think that's a shame, obviously, coming from a company like Bungie. So,
Yeah, I am glad that the game does work and it plays well. Like,
Yeah.
good on them for making a good, solid game that looks good, feels good, and is fun for a time. I just didn't get the addiction of the loot chasing.
that's what it is. It's a constant loot chase for nothing really. You get your loot, and then you're at the end. You're like, okay, now next expansion. Wait for my new loot.
Yeah,
And it's
to be honest, I was more put off. I may have stuck it with it for a bit longer, but my son liked to watch me play it, and when I was at work, he jumped on and he liked to run around. I'd give him a chance to run around in the kind of open areas and shoot some monsters. But he didn't like the color of my gear, so he dismantled it.
oh no!
So I went from level 29 or so to down to I think level 23,
Oh,
just from dismantling my gear. And yeah, just couldn't. Yeah, so I tried getting some more new gear, got my armor back up pretty quick, but just couldn't get a new gun. So I was doing missions, level 28 missions when and I just had a gun that was probably equivalent to a level 22.
oh,
And so I just couldn't get into it. Couldn't get back into it. So I should thank him because I didn't get addicted.
yeah. I gotta say, I did get pretty addictive. I was sort of to the point where I was making sure we was picking up my son and rushing home, putting him to bed so I could get on to do raids and stuff. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this?
Dad's a destiny.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I never actually got a chance to try the raids.
See that is what kept me going. The raids were absolutely fantastic when you've got the whole team and everyone working together, strategizing. That's a good word. Jesus.
Strategizing.
Yes, strategizing.
Strategizing.
Oh, that's a funny one. Yes, doing stuff together. But yeah, that was really, really awesome, and that was possibly the thing that kept me playing for so long.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
I guess that goes back to my problem of not having any real world gaming friends. I really had no one to play with. I did manage to jump on with a mate of mine's. He had some friends who were playing it, and we tried doing the raid, but they'd brought in people who were way too low level. So there was like 5 or 6 of us, and 3 were probably like 22, 23 kind of level, and it's 26 you have to be for the first raid.
Well, it's 26 to get in, but if you're all 26 and you're doing it, it can be quite tough.
Yeah, so they'd brought, because the guy who was hosting it, he was like 28 or something, but the other guys he'd brought in were too low, and we spent for like 45 minutes trying to open the stupid door with the robots spawning, and you had to keep them out of. There's like the 3 buttons or 3.
Oh yeah. The 3 plates that you have to stand on and wait for it basically builds a spire and it unlocks the main door, but you have to keep the Predatorians, they call them, the big things.
That's what it's,
yeah. But,
and it was just ridiculous. Like 3 of us were doing stuff, the other 3 were running around with like headless chickens, and it didn't work. And so they ended up breaking. You can actually glitch through the door.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And so we ended up doing that, and then someone said, "Oh yeah, we're not actually going to be able to finish it. This is just." So we spent up like 20 minutes jumping, platforming. I was like, "What is going on?" Like, I didn't know any of these guys. It was boring. And then someone said we weren't actually going to be able to finish the level or get a reward for doing this. I'm like, why am I spending hours doing this? It's stupid.
Yeah.
And so I just jumped out, and that's my only experience with the raids. I didn't bother.
Yeah.
I didn't bother with the DLC. Before I was tempted, I flogged it off.
Yeah, it's definitely the DLCs were just more of the same as the main game, really. Just a couple of story missions. It was the raid that, once again, that's the only thing that was super good about the DLC. I found was with the raids. Really, they were spectacular. If you had the right team, they were really, really good.
Yeah, because aren't they re-releasing the game? like in a way, like with well, not Sunken King, that's Dark Souls, Taken King.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you mentioned that you have to have the previous ones. I've heard. I actually avoided. I didn't actually bother watching the Destiny E3 conference or whatever it was, whatever conference was shown in. I skipped that part. They're re-releasing it. It's gonna be like $130 here, and it's like gonna be like £50 or something over your way.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think they're doing 4 different versions of the Taken King, which is ridiculous. I know one of them's a collector's edition, which I think is about 50 UK pounds, which comes with both the DLCs and some extra bits and bobs and the Taken King. But yeah, I don't know. It's where we go now. Let's have a little look.
Yes, I thought one of the more expensive one actually comes with the original game as well. It's like a full re-release, like a Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, we've got see, it's 80 UK pounds.
Ooh,
that's that one. It comes with obviously Destiny Expansion 1, Expansion 2, and the Taken King with like some like colour shader things, and that's basically £80, 80 UK quid, which is quite a lot.
I guarantee it'll be more expensive here.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, we get gypped with prices.
Oh, see, I thought it was expensive here.
Add £10 onto your price is what it would cost for us. Cheeky.
Well, I certainly wouldn't say. I don't think Destiny's worth that much. Yeah, that's for certain.
Oh, maybe not. The Destiny, this time I may be wrong. The Taken King Collector's Edition is 134 New Zealand dollars.
That's not too far off then, I don't think, is it? I'm not too sure of the old exchange rate. I think that's relatively close.
It's £60. That's actually quite good then.
That's like it's cheaper.
I've been proven wrong. Yeah, but generally things are more expensive here.
Yeah. So Destiny. So next one that definitely going on from Destiny and Bungie, Halo 5. I don't know. Are you a Halo 5 player at all? A Halo 5 player? A Halo player at all?
I've never owned a Xbox console. I used to play multiplayer with my friends back on the Xbox and Xbox 360. But never been. I had a hard time getting into the Xbox because the original controller was so big.
It was a house brick. It was huge. I agree.
And I've got small hands, and I just couldn't handle it. Like my mate they released the smaller version, and I had a fight to get it because I just could not play with the big one. I have to take my hand off the controller and reach across to hit the buttons.
Awesome.
But yes, I played that. I've never followed it really though. So yeah.
Well, Halo 5, obviously, they obviously showed that at the Microsoft one. They opened up with it. Looks, I've got to say, pretty spectacular. Because I've played Halo from all the way through. I've not missed a Halo game. But once again, I'm going to have to miss this Halo, which I'm pretty gutted about because I'm not going to be able to afford to get an Xbox One, which is a shame. But I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a console for one game because that's pretty much the only game I'm going to want to play, really.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
sorry, it's just I found that interesting. As I say, I don't know Halo. But I did watch the trailer for it, and I thought it looked a bit cheesy. But maybe it's because I don't know the story. But it just, I think it was. I'm trying to remember what it was. Maybe it was you had the squad with you in this game, and it's is it the first one that does that? Yeah. Like it actually explains how you can do co-op, and I like that idea. But just the way they talked was just seemed real irritating, and I just kind of I don't know. I actually was surprised to hear Halo fans that they were so keen on it. I thought they might have been put off because as a game, coming in from a person who doesn't know Halo, seeing it as a game, I was not interested.
Yeah, I got to say, that sort of macho, cheesy speaking, that is a Halo quirk. That's very
Okay.
Halo-esque. Yeah, the scripts are quite good, but as you say, it is quite yeah, it is a bit cheesy. I totally see where you're coming from. Yeah, but see, the thing is, we don't really know sort of what's going on with a lot of this game, to be honest, because the one they showed with the squad, that's a guy called Agent Locke who's actually hunting Master Chief, the original main character. So no one really knows what's going on there, and they haven't shown any footage of Master Chief playing yet. So no one knows how that's going to play. I think more people more care about the multiplayer, to be fair.
I find that sad though.
It is a shame. Yeah. I don't generally play the multiplayers. Like same with Destiny. Multiplayer PvP is not really for me. Yeah, yeah. Things will get broken if I play PvP. This is why I kind of didn't realise that I'd get on with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, because I thought I'd just break things. And yeah, so yeah. I mean, what other sort of bits did you look at over E3 that looked good to you?
Yes, I'm just trying to flick through what I saw. It's so much at the time you're watching. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to remember that, and then you forget. There's so much in the conferences. Obviously, Fallout 4 looks good and is quite exciting.
See, this is another thing. Like you mentioned, Fallout 4. I think it looks okay, but the internet basically blew up with Fallout 4, and I never did get into Fallout. I never understood the big thing for Fallout. Did you play the Fallout games at all?
Yes, I never actually finished Fallout 3 because I never owned a copy. I just borrowed it from my sister. But I played it a fair bit. I actually played the start of the game a couple of times because I played on her console before I owned one. I borrowed it. She lived next door, so I borrowed it from her. And then, yeah, I borrowed the game when I bought my console, and yeah, I just enjoyed exploring, and being able to take out guys. I think I was like, you could choose if you're going to be good or bad, and I was super good. I became like the highest setting for good, and so I was constantly, every time I'd walk out of a building, I'd be attacked by the bad raider group, and all I did is I'd wear their armor, and so every time they turned up, I could just kill them, take their armor, and then repair mine. So I had a constant supply of materials to make sure I had full armor, and the armor was decent. It was kind of the mid-range. It wasn't heavy, so it didn't slow me down. But no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed exploring the wasteland.
See, I liked that whole idea of the exploring and stuff, but the thing I struggled with was obviously where it's obviously the first-person RPG,
yep,
plus a shooter. I kind of struggled because it was neither one or the other, because you couldn't. I found if you just used first person shooting, you didn't really do the right amount of damage. But I struggled with the VAT system really badly. I don't know why. I couldn't get on with the VAT system.
Okay.
And that just seemed, because my best friend, he played it, and he must have put about 200 hours into that game, and he absolutely loved it. But yeah, I just couldn't wrap my head around the VAT system for whatever reason. I was just like, this doesn't really work for me.
I don't know. It seemed familiar to me. I don't know why, but it just seemed to make sense. Maybe it goes back because I played Vagrant Story as a kid. It had a similar kind of idea where you could stop time and choose where you're aiming to do critical hits or do certain things. So it kind of just gelled with me, I guess. Because there's some people who actually play Fallout and don't use the VATs. Like my brother, he would just shoot it. He'd play quite a lot as just a first-person shooter.
So that's interesting, because I really struggled when I played it just as a first-person shooter for whatever reason.
It's hard. It's not as smooth as Destiny, that's for sure. Like it's not really a first person shooter by itself. But yeah, he did. he criticised me for just relying on VATs constantly. But yeah, it was there for a reason.
Yeah, I suppose that it's there to be used, isn't it? So I suppose that's how they want you to play the game, I suppose. But if you've got the patience because when you're doing it in the first person, you have to be really precise and make sure you're getting sort of shots to the head. Otherwise, you're wasting precious ammo, really.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing I sort of struggled with. So
I believe the Fallout New Vegas, that was the iron sights were better on that. So it's better for first-person shooting, but I never got into that one. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't get into it.
I've heard that from a lot of people who played it, that they couldn't get into New Vegas for whatever reason. I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, I think it's they had this an overriding that factions, and if you help one faction, the other faction would automatically be your enemy.
Right. Okay.
And it wasn't as black and white in the first Fallout 3. And I think I kind of didn't like that, because sometimes it wasn't obvious that you're helping one group. And so I think that kind of bugged me. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right, so what other games do we have? Did you watch Need for Speed at all? Did you see the trailer for that?
Briefly, I remember seeing Paddy and CJ commenting on it on Twitter about how it looked ridiculous.
Yeah, I was talking to them guys about it. It was just so. It's the worst. By far the worst camera for a driving game I've ever seen in my entire life. Basically, you'd have a sort of a chase camera above, but when coming fast into a corner, the camera would pan down and kind of sit by your back left or back right wheel. So basically, all you could see was the car, and you couldn't see anything else. So you're trying to do a precision corner, and you can't see bugger all.
Yeah, but the car looks good, and that's what counts.
That's what counts. The one thing I did notice, actually, I suppose because of the sort of game it is, I thought the graphics were pretty spectacular. I think it looked really, really, really polished. Some of the cars look ultra realistic, but once again, you tend to find driving games do tend to have really good graphics.
Need for Speed and they've always been kind of up there with their good-looking graphics and their cars that make the cars look cool.
Yeah,
it's been their thing. I've never really been into any of the games. I think Underground was the only one I really played most of the way through.
Yeah, to be honest, that was not Underground for me. It was Underground 2, but I played that quite a lot. But the other games, I kind of sort of flitted in and out. I'd get them, play them, and then sort of trade them back in. Because I tend to only pick games up like that when there's nothing else around. I'm like, I need something to play.
Yeah, no, my mate he's way into the car scene. He's had his Evos and fancy cars all through our lives. And so I always played with him. But yeah, Underground was the best. I kind of liked it. I don't really like the Need for Speed with the cop chases. I think that's just real boring and overdone.
Yeah, no,
I'm not interested.
Yeah, they have overplayed the whole sort of cop chasing thing to death now.
Yeah. I just want to race, and that's what I liked about Underground. Because was it Underground? It was open world, or was it Underground 2?
Underground 2.
Yeah, it must be in that one I played quite a bit. I think I played both. I mean, I just like being able to pick and choose what you did, and
well, that's the what they're trying to aim for with this Need for Speed. That it's open world. Apparently, it's huge and blah blah. To be honest, I think I might enjoy it if they get rid of that poxy camera. That camera will just stop me from buying the game if they can't. Because how can you? It's a driving game. How can you drive if you can't see the damn road?
Yeah,
it's beyond ridiculous.
Maybe it's AI corners. As soon as you hit the corner, it turns for you, so you can just enjoy the look of the neons.
Just enjoy your neon cars. Yeah. Spend all that money, make it. Oh, I want to look at it. Drive.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah. To be honest, go on.
Sorry. What I've heard is a lot of the game they keep talking about how it's got the open world of not most wanted, underground. It's got the car customization of this game, and it seems like they're trying to bring in all their best bits of all their games, and that's always raises flags. It's like, well, are you gonna gel it together correctly, or is it just going to be a hot mess?
Probably a hot mess.
So that's what I always think when they say they're going to take this element of this game and this of that, and yeah, I don't know. But yeah, not interested, to be honest.
Well, there was a few other games that I liked. Mirror's Edge, I'll quickly glaze over that one. I don't know if you're into Mirror's Edge at all.
I gave it a quick go, but you've never really tried it much.
Yeah, love Mirror's Edge. There's not much to say about the new one, really. More of the same, slightly better looking. Looks great. I think I'll probably enjoy it. It's nothing new or innovative there to the Mirror's Edge series, but it looks pretty good.
I do like that they took away it's not a stark white from what I can tell.
No, yeah, there is a bit more colour to it.
Colour's pretty loose too, still, but yeah. It's a bit more shading and seems to be a bit more character in the world. Yeah. But I found it weird that, sorry, you said you don't want to go on about this one, but they talk about what's the term? Kind of like a origin story of the main girl.
Yeah.
I thought the first one seemed to be an origin story of her.
So it's an origin of an origin.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I find that weird.
No, I do agree. When they first said, "Oh, it's the origin story," I was on Twitter just like origin story. I wasn't very happy, but and then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, actually, it's more an origin story of the city and how it became so oppressed, basically,
and corrupt.
Yeah. And I was kind of like, I'm more into that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Because my first thoughts when they said origin story for the main character was, so you're going to start off not being a parkour?
Yeah, you got to learn.
You gotta start off on the ground level, like
you just got to practice jumping from curb to curb.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah, that's the thing. That's a good point, actually. So she must always have been. I don't know where they'll drop it in. Actually, maybe where she's. I don't know how they're going to do that. I didn't think of that until you just brought it up, really, to be honest.
Or is she like Edward Kenway from Assassin's Creed 4? Even though he wasn't a trained assassin, he has all the assassin skills and abilities.
Just instant assassin.
Yeah.
You're assassin now? Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. She was born a parkour ninja. She could do flips as a baby.
Just parkouring around the front room across all her toys and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now you've got me thinking. I'm like, I don't know. Actually, now I think there might be a bit. See, damn you.
Yeah. Devil's advocate.
Yeah. Oh well. Next game. So we got a few games to get through, so we'll slide along. Horizon, new game from Guerrilla Games. I do believe it is. One's Killzone. Did you see the trailer for that?
Yeah, to be honest, all of Sony's conference I was quite impressed with. I enjoyed the whole conference. And Horizon was a nice surprise.
Yes, I totally agree. It was. I really like the concept of it. The whole sort of mechanical dinosaurs, futuristic, but back. I really like the concept of it. I think it looks pretty spectacular.
It does look good. And it looked like they showed the gameplay, like it was very scripted, as those trailers always are.
Yeah,
but it looked cool. Like if they actually can deliver on those aspects, pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that. Definitely, the thing that, as I said, drew me in was the sort of art style and the old meets new. That really sort of kind of reminds me of like Blade Runner, where it's kind of like when he's in the sort of Chinatown, it's very old but all very new at the same time. I think that's where it's got sort of new and decayed a little bit. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's one. Japanese RPGs have always done that well. They've kind of mixed future technologies with swords, and like the Final Fantasy series have always done it. Like Final Fantasy VI, you got the little war mechs that you fight, but
you
characters still use swords and weapons.
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of cool to see this done a different way, because it's the same kind of concept, mixing the old with new, but it's actually way in the future of our world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a nice concept, and it's nice to see a new IP as well, not something
for
just
sure.
rehashed. It's not always nice to see new IPs.
What was interesting about that I've seen on Twitter, that there's no tutorial, is that it's just going to give you the world kind of, and you learn. So you got to learn how to hunt. You got to learn how to deal with the enemies yourself.
Oh,
so there's a
wow.
lot of, because it seems like she's a new kind of hunter. She's kind of come of age, I guess. Maybe that's what I'm assuming. And so you could experience it with her.
That's pretty cool. I didn't read about that, but that makes it even more interesting for me. I like the fact that it's just not like, there you go, she's super awesome, get on with it.
I hope that's the case as well. Yeah,
that's really cool. I like the idea of that. That's made it even more interesting. It's definitely certainly one that I'm going to keep my eye on.
And how they've done it, so there's no in-game tutorial, like there's no forced kind of bottleneck where you have to go through these steps to learn the mechanics, and the game stops and says you have to push this button now. There's apparently none of that. That's what the tweet said.
That would be cool. Like, so kind of maybe leave it to you to sort of figure out how things are going.
Yeah.
I suppose sort of the Dark Souls games kind of do that. They give you little tutorials, but a lot of the stuff you kind of have to work out for yourself, really.
Yeah, no, I like how Dark Souls, they'll teach you without you realizing that you're learning.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, because those forced tutorials they're the bane of my life. I really don't like them. I wish they just could. I can't say I've played many games, bar, as you say, Dark Souls, that do it so slyly that they're there, but you don't really realise, as you say.
Yeah, and they teach you like just enemy placement. They'll throw one guy at you, and then two, in the next encounter. Yeah, and so you're learning as you move along without actually realising.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, some games are just like, yeah, you must do this, press this button, press that. And it's like, I feel it kind of takes you out of the experience a little bit.
Yeah, and you have to you got to read all this text to kind of work out what you're supposed to actually do.
Yeah, but it breaks the immersion a little bit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Last Guardian, are you interested in that at all?
Yes, just because it's finally been announced. No, I've got them through PlayStation Plus, and I'm actually thinking about doing a YouTube series of me playing through them for the first time.
Wow!
I think I'm excited for the fact that it's been announced, and there's been this, people have been assuming about it, and there's all this kind of talk, especially over the last year with Sony dropping its not copyright, trademark of The Last Guardian.
Yeah.
It's just been interesting kind of following and hearing about it. So I think I'm excited just for the fact that it's finally been announced.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a funny journey for this game, to be honest. It's been sort of up and down, getting announced and then restarted, and then it got rumoured that obviously it got cancelled because the team kind of disappeared, and then obviously they lost their trademark by accident, but everyone thought that they had got rid of the trademark, and some silly plonker had forgotten to renew the trademark. But it's just it has been a funny journey for this game, and I am very, very excited for it, because obviously Eco, I loved Eco, but Shadow of the Colossus is by far one of my favourite games of all time. Absolutely love that game, because it was so different, being as there's obviously no enemies, it's just boss battles, and the story, if as I say, I won't, no spoilers, but it's kind of, by the end you're like jaw dropped, just blown away by the revelations of that game, and it kind of makes you think a lot about life in general. It's just pretty amazing, and if you haven't played it yet, you're in for a very enjoyable experience.
I definitely should, because they're not very long games, are they?
No, you could probably Shadow of the Colossus. I think you could probably do that 6-7 hours probably.
Yes, that's not bad for a YouTube series.
Yeah. Eco, probably about the same, to be honest. They're not huge games, but yeah, but looking at The Last Guardian, it kind of, looking at it, has aspects of both Eco and Shadow of the Colossus kind of amalgamated into one. The way the game looks to me, yeah, I'm very excited for it, to say the least, and just looking forward to solving puzzles with that big bloody dog.
Dog bird.
Dog, bird, chicken feet thing.
Do you think that I have a feeling that I'm assuming that's the Guardian, maybe, or is the boy the Guardian? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question.
So yeah, the dog bird thing, I have a feeling, or my thoughts are that it'd be cool to see if they could evolve as you play the game. So as the game goes on, because I don't know if you see in the trailer they showed, or the demo, it jumps across that area, and it has little putty little wings, like little weird little wings. And so it'd be kind of cool to see if it evolved and actually grew into its full form.
That would be, that's a very interesting thought, actually. That would be very, very, very good. See, now you're putting ideas in my head, and if they don't do it, I'm going to be upset now.
Sorry, my bad.
But no, that is very good. I quite like the idea of that concept, actually, watching it sort of evolve as your game goes on, being maybe it's The Last Guardian and it's only recently being born, and it is a puppy. Because it kind of acts like a puppy as well, I think, like the way it sort of moves and talks to not talks, but the sounds it makes. It sounds like a new creature, a new yeah. Oh, it's
very unsure of itself, and it's taking guidance from a small child. Like the main character is only a small boy, and so yeah, as you say, it shows that it is very infant in its own right. This huge puppy.
Puppy with his chicken feet. It gets me every time I see him. He's like, and you look down, he's just little chicken feet.
And the little blue horns poking through.
Oh, do you know what? I've not even noticed them.
These little blue buds. I'm sure the horns, just like a little goat is born with little bumps, and they grow into horns as they grow older.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? Never even noticed them.
There you go.
Never even noticed them.
And that would go along with if it does grow older during the game, it gaining its horns as well.
Yeah. Because, if you look at some of the art, actually, one horn is actually kind of grown and one's not. And it looks like, the right horn looks like it's growing through. And the one on the left sort of isn't. So possibly, your theory might be heading down the right route.
I apologise if I'm wrong and making stuff up.
But it's a very interesting concept. We shall see.
Yes.
Yes, we shall see. But yeah, I do believe it's going to be good. And I would definitely say Shadow of the Colossus will make a good YouTube series, especially where finding the bosses is fun. And even though there's no enemies, just exploring that landscape, it's such a beautiful landscape. The controls are a bit wonky, but you'll get used to them.
Sweet. Do you think I should bother with Ico?
I would certainly play it. I would certainly play it. It's a great game, but I would say it's a little bit slow, possibly for a YouTube series.
Okay.
Yeah, but Shadow of the Colossus, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. So what other stuff did the PlayStation? I don't think they had much.
Oh, one more note about The Last Guardian before we move on. I want it to be awesome because I want it to change the stereotype of games that are in development for such a long time.
Yes.
Most games that are in development like this are a bit of a failure. We've got Diablo 3 when it came out. It was putz.
Yeah.
It's kind of done well in after the fact. It's done okay with re-releases, and it's still going, but its launch was rubbish.
I think it had such a legacy to live up to, though.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Duke Nukem was another one that kind of was just like, what is this?
That was horrific. I literally played it for about 10 minutes and then had to turn it off. I couldn't deal with it.
and people speculate that's why Half-Life 3, just we've heard nothing about that, is maybe they just don't want it to fall into that category of...
Yeah, with Half-Life 3, I love Half-Life, but I honestly think they should never release Half-Life 3. I think it should forever stay a myth.
Actually, a friend of mine worked on a short film about the non-release of Half-Life 3. It's actually quite funny. Yeah, I'll send you a link after.
No, I'll definitely, I shall check that out for sure.
Yeah, so we can move on now. Sorry.
No, that's cool. What else we got? See, there was a couple more I wanted to mention. Obviously, Division, wanted to mention that. Obviously, that's been a long time coming. That's been up and down like a yo-yo with constant delays and the world crying about graphics, especially after this E3, because obviously the graphics have been slightly pulled down a little bit. But the thing is, like, people always, they get the rage over it. It's something that happens in development. If they want the games to run smoothly, this is what's going to happen. And I don't know why people get mad about it. I don't. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I agree. The graphic complaints, couldn't care less, to be honest, as long as the game works well. And it still looks good. It just doesn't, it's got one less pixel on the guy's left backside, like.
Most definitely.
It's not a big deal.
No. To be honest, like the demo they showed, I watched the one from Ubisoft, and that was showing what they call the Black Zone, which is basically the PvP areas. And it looked spectacular, but once again, I wish they wouldn't do these horrible scripted demos. It was just so cringeworthy, the script and the cross chat between the players. I thought it was so cringeworthy.
Completely agree. I almost was like, yeah, I'm not going to bother this game just because of that. Oh, it's so annoying.
I don't know why they feel the need to. I know they have to obviously try and get across to you what they're trying to show you, but I don't think they need to do that. Just play the demo. We can see what's on screen. We don't need you to talk like mechanical robots for us to understand. Do they honestly think that everyone out there is that stupid that they can't understand what's going on the screen? I think that's what it is. I think they think we're really stupid.
Yeah, maybe. and in reality, we all know that online chat is just a hot mess of people just talking over each other.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like at the end of the demo, where he basically killed his entire team member, nobody swore at him once. That's when you know it's not real. He killed all his team members, and not one person swore at him. Not one.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea of that. That's pretty brutal. That you can even troll your best friends, and just that's a bit harsh. But I think the Dark Zone's going to be a bit of a mess. Not a mess, but somewhere that I wouldn't particularly want to go. I don't think, because there's going to be people killing each other left, right, and centre. Even best friends just winding people up.
Yeah, I listened to some people who had a chance to actually get hands on with it, and apparently there's, if you pick up a rare item, because they talked about an extraction, you don't just get the item, you actually have to extract it, and so there's a delay in that, and so you get flagged and people come to you. You can actually see people with an item, like they'll actually have like something on their body that will signify that they have a rare item.
A rare item, right.
Entices people to go, maybe I should take this guy out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that person takes them out, then they get flagged as a rogue agent. And so then people are like, oh, he's probably taking someone out because he's after a good item. So then, he's rogue, I'll take him out.
Oh, so it can be an endless cycle. So you might kill someone, get your item, but then another two people come along and take the item off you, and it's like an ebb and flow of high level items.
Yeah, and then when the person who finally gets it, it's just like a gun, the same gun they already got. They do a Destiny, and it's just, there's no real upgrades. It's just the same gun over and over again.
Maybe a different colour.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that is the only one thing that I'm worried about, because it has the same kind of structure as Destiny. So I'm just worried about whether it's going to end up being the whole sort of item grind, and that's what its whole soul's going to be. And I hope it's not.
Yeah, I hope they stick to the other Souls they've said they're trying to aim for, because they've talked about how the PvP will be like Dark Souls. You can drop in and out of games. So, on the Souls meta, I hope it goes towards the Dark Souls kind of game quality.
Yeah. Yes. Did you, speaking, I'm going to shift on to another game now. Did you see the Phantom Pain trailer? It wasn't actually shown during any of the conferences, but it was released over E3.
Yes, I went and saw it on your... You sent me a link, but I also saw it on your Facebook page.
Yes.
I was quite surprised because up till now, everything I've seen for Phantom Pain has been very light-hearted, bright and cheerful. Even the battle scenes, they're out in the desert, nice and sunny, lots of colour, green and oranges, and looks great. And this was dark.
Full dark. Like someone switched the lights off. Yes.
It was gritty, it was bloody. Snake had a metal horn coming out of his head.
Yeah, I see. I've read a little something about it. I understand sort of some of the stuff that's going on. I don't want to say it on here because it will ruin a lot of stuff for a lot of people. But it's that horn causes something. It does something to you as a player. It's pretty cool, but everyone will see when the game comes out.
Nice.
Yes.
We'll be playing as Big Boss. That's correct, isn't it? In Phantom Pain.
You are playing as Big Boss, but you don't have to. You can rescue, not rescue, but you can capture other enemies, and you can take them back to your base and have your own army. But you can actually play the game as those people. You don't have to play it as Big Boss.
Oh, so they're taking the portable ops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Peace Walker did the same?
Did Peace Walker? I don't think it did it? I can't bloody remember. It's been ages.
I finished portable ops, but I never actually got into Peace Walker on the PSP. I found the controls too hard.
Yeah, see, I played Peace Walker when they ported it to PlayStation 3, I think it was.
Yeah, the HD release.
Yeah, I played it on then.
Because Peace Walker is more canon.
Yeah.
And whereas portable ops is there, but it's not as canon.
No, I think in the world, Kojima basically has gone with portable ops is kind of just, not at all really. In his timeline, he's gone, it's not really there. It's not canon.
Yeah, it's interesting. It does sort of fit though, because it's the early stages of what happens in Peace Walker.
Yeah.
Because it kind of starts him off with this idea of recruiting.
Well, I think this one sits just after Peace Walker, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally just after. Did you play Ground Zeroes?
Oh yeah, great game.
Yeah. See, everyone wasn't happy about that. It was a tad overpriced.
Agree.
But it done its job. It most certainly wet my whistle for the Phantom Pain. But it was good though, because I think it was it last month they gave it away for free with PlayStation Plus.
Oh, perfect timing to build the hype ready for the game. Yeah,
it's perfect timing. But yeah,
I picked it up for $15 on special a couple of months ago.
Nice.
But I'm happy that I paid for it. It was worth it.
Yeah, I being such a Metal Gear geek, I literally got that day one, and I think I paid close. Well, it was $29.99. I paid for it. It's basically almost the price of a full game.
Yeah, say $60 here.
Yeesh, that's a lot. But nah, I totally agree with you with the trailer. Wow, pretty dark, pretty oppressive. Just they've gone with, as you say, the much darker tones, and also the right at the end of the trailer, kind of opening people's suspicions to a lot of the trolling from Kojima that's gone on. Obviously, right at the end of the trailer, you have Eli looking in a mirror, which obviously everyone believes is Liquid Snake. and I believe it is now as well. Because obviously when he looks up, he looks to his right, and there is a twin of him stood with him, which now everyone is obviously saying that that's Liquid and Solid Snake as teenagers, which I go with that theory. I think that's correct, because what I think has happened with the whole David Hayter getting fired as the voice of Big Boss, I honestly think he's going to be in this game at the end, and it will culminate in the fight between Big Boss and Solid Snake, where Solid Snake obviously kills Big Boss from Metal Gear 1 on the NES. I think that's where this game will culminate to. That's my view on it anyway, I think.
But Big Boss doesn't die though. I thought that was
well. He doesn't. Yeah, he reappeared obviously in number 4, didn't he? But for all intents and purposes, he was killed in Metal Gear 1, wasn't he?
Because Metal Gear 1 was trying to get his body back, wasn't it? That was the mission here. That there was this body that they were. No, that's 4.
That's number 4. Yeah. No. Metal Gear 1 was Big Boss sent you a Solid Snake to go and stop the Metal Gear, but then obviously it turns out that Big Boss was actually the leader of those people who have the Metal Gear, and you have a fight with him, and you supposedly kill Big Boss, but obviously we now know that he's not dead, because he turns up in number 4 alive and well.
That's Metal Gear. That one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, because you had Metal Gear 2. And then Metal Gear Solid, I believe, was the next game, which was the PlayStation 1.
Because in that one, it's Liquid Snake's the bad guy?
In Metal Gear Solid is Liquid Snake, yeah.
Yeah, and he looks like Big Boss.
Yeah, because...
well, they all look like Big Boss, but you know what I mean? Like, he's taken kind of his position in some ways.
Because that's what he's trying to do, isn't he? He's trying to follow on from Big Boss's work, but he kind of is doing it a bit wrong. He's kind of taking it the wrong path, as everyone is. Yeah, everyone is, and as Big Boss says here, everyone's doing it wrong. Everyone.
Yeah.
No one gets it right. But yeah, I think it's going to be an absolutely spectacular game. As the open, I like the open world is just spectacular for me. That is obviously taking it in a new direction, because it's been very linear up until now. I think it's going to change the gameplay considerably.
Do you think there'll be open world choices, like say The Witcher or these other games where you can choose the order you do things, or do you think the storyline will be quite linear, but there'll be more creativity to how you tackle those areas, or those, like in the just had a mind blank. the preview of the game. Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes. I don't know. It just left my head.
Mind blank.
we just talked about it a few minutes ago. Because that's what I liked about that, was you had one objective. You had your objective, but it was a lot more freer and open to how you tackled that objective compared to previous Metal Gear games. Yeah.
No, that's right. I do think that that's the way they're going to do the main game. You have, I remember reading somewhere that basically, obviously, you have one key mission that you're supposed to be completing. However, you choose to do it: nighttime, daytime, full action, full stealth. That's up to you, and obviously that's that mission completed. But there's obviously a lot of side missions that give you more information on the story as well.
Yeah.
So I think the story as a whole will be a linear story, but the actual game you pick and choose how you do it mission wise. Okay. And if you don't do all the side missions, I think there'll be some points of the story left untold.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So lore hunters.
Yes.
will be keen to.
But yes, well, that's the thing with it. Man, Metal Gear, their lore is just so crazy. It's just completely balmy half the time. They're so out there.
I think I understand the main concept of it, and I kind of have most of it down, but it's really hard to kind of explain that to someone.
it is difficult when I said like, because I've got a friend I work with and I'm basically trying to get him into it because it's coming out on PC. He can finally play it, and I've just been trying to explain to him, and I was just like, I can't do this. So I looked on the internet and just found like basically a Metal Gear timeline. I was just like, read that.
Speaking of that, do you think it's a good idea for him to jump into it at number 5?
It's to be honest, it's not a bad spot to sit in at, to be honest, because the only game previous there was obviously Peace Walker and Metal Gear 3 that were previous to it, which there isn't a huge amount of story there to catch up on, but you can quite easily read a small wiki that what I gave to him, I think it was 2 pages long, and there was enough information there for you to get everything.
Yep.
To understand. It is a funny place to jump in on it, but he's always been sort of an Xbox person, and they haven't really yet. I think they had Metal Gear Solid 2. I think that was it.
Yep.
Up until now, so he hasn't played them, but he's obviously seen this, and he likes open world games, so he'll be picking it up.
I'll be interested to see how he goes.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see how he gets on as well. So yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very hyped. I think I must have watched that trailer about 15 times now. Yeah, I'm just so my wife's just like, oh my god, are you watching that bloody trailer again? I can't help it. Dear. Yeah, I'm like an addict.
Not long, 1st of September.
1st of September, yes, not long at all. But
actually, I put my pre-order in yesterday.
Yeah,
for it. Yeah, I did.
I haven't got one. I haven't actually put one in. You speaking that, I haven't actually got a pre-order. I should really do that.
I did the same thing. They had a E3 special, 50% trade-in bonus. So I traded in Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen.
Have you given it a go?
No, I've heard bad things of it, so I just didn't play it.
Yeah, I wanted to give it a go. I was hoping that they would. So it'd be cool to have Souls games as a genre, and have other people tackle it. But they tackled it, and they kind of just got bounced off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not Souls. It tries. I like the fighting mechanic to an extent, but it's very clunky. It's big guy in small corridor meets big guy with big shield, still in small corridor.
Oh dear.
So you can hardly see half the time, and yeah.
Doesn't sound fun. I've heard the same sort of things from a few people, and it's just I thought, I think I'll avoid that.
And yeah, it looks good. It does actually look like a good modern game, like a lot of detail, but it's just the art style is very, very Western, very chaos looking, spikes off spikes, with more spikes, and that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So.
That was a tangent. Sorry.
No, that's cool. Right. Well, my last little one I want to talk about, obviously, before the two things that were the major outstanders for me. Star Wars Battlefront, obviously. We had that finally got gameplay footage of it. What were your thoughts? Have you been following it at all? Any interest in it at all?
Not to be honest, not really.
No.
I've just never been that fussed about Star Wars. I don't know why. I think I watched it with my brothers as a kid, but it's just never been something that's been that important to me.
That's fair enough. No,
yeah.
I know a few people who aren't really sort of into it, but I'm a massive Star Wars geek, and it looks good to me. Yeah, it looks good, but I think it's pretty much Battlefield just reskinned in a Star Wars theme. That's what it looks like to me. It doesn't really look. I was expecting a lot more, to be perfectly fair.
You can go third person. You can go third person.
That they made such a big deal over that, and it's just like, oh yeah, I get it. You can go third person, excellent, but it's still just a multiplayer experience. There's no real story. There's no story. There's not a campaign. So I'm just like, Really?
Yeah.
Come on, seriously? You're doing a Star Wars game and you haven't got a campaign? That, for me, just blows.
Basically, they're kind of counting on nostalgia and people's love of the movies. So they'll stick you in areas and scenarios that happen in the movies, but they're not going to be the same because,
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be different.
Completely agree. That's what their little trailer played upon, was obviously playing the old sort of Hoth music with the walkers and the snow speeders and stuff. It all played on nostalgia. The whole entire trailer, the gameplay demo, was just all based around nostalgia. And if you kind of can look past that, the game doesn't really look that spectacular, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So the two things that were announced that are just yay. Obviously, Dark Souls 3. We finally got to see something of it, which I didn't. Did anyone even know it was coming? I think it kind of just came out of the blue. Did anyone? Did you know? Did you heard anything of it?
It was leaked the week before.
But bar that leak, up until now, had you heard anything?
I think it was a given. No, From Software are good like that.
I was watching a Varty video today, and he basically said that when he spoke to a few of them went and watched it, like a gameplay demo behind closed doors, and apparently it's been in production before Dark Souls 2.
Oh, really?
Now that one kind of blew my mind a little bit. I was like, oh, how the hell does that work? And it turns out that From have actually got a few teams. And obviously, Miyazaki only works with a couple of them, and obviously Bloodborne being one of them. And this team that done Dark Souls 3 are the team that did Dark Souls 1 and Demon, if I'm correct.
Okay, I haven't actually looked. I thought a lot of the team from Dark Souls worked on Bloodborne, but maybe that's not true.
Yeah, apparently they've got more teams than we originally thought. The Varty video, he put, I think it was today he put it up. If you watch that, because they went and watched it, I think it's like a 20-minute gameplay demo, and he explains it there. But it was quite interesting to me that obviously this just they started production on 3 before they even made 2.
See, I wonder if that, because I know 2 started quite early. It started around the time the DLC came out, from what I remember, of Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
I wonder if this was Miyazaki's sequel that he was planning, but they needed to get something out quicker to keep Namco happy.
Possibly.
So they threw another team in, and this is the true sequel, maybe.
That sounds completely plausible. Yeah.
Although I have heard that they are keeping both lore. I think Epic Name Bro might have mentioned it on Twitter, is that they're looking at keeping both games as canon. Like they will both play into the story, which is great because I'm happy with 2. I really like 2.
Yeah, see, it was everyone digs on 2 a lot, but I really liked it. So I've got no comparison to, obviously, because I haven't played,
of course,
the first one yet, but the only thing I compare it to Bloodborne, obviously, and a lot of people have said the way the level designs are like the older ones, because there's a lot of vertical as well as horizontal, whereas Dark Souls 2 was just mainly horizontal. There was no real vertical to the levels at all.
No.
But I thought it was still a spectacular game, number 2. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, same. I haven't played the Scholar version. Apparently that's ace, as CJ would say.
Yeah, see, he has said so many times, like, Scholar I absolutely adore it. It is a masterpiece, but I can't compare it because I never played the original. So I've just gone straight in with Scholar, and that's one of the problems I had as well, because it's apparently a lot harder than the original Dark Souls, because the Scholar was very hard and I was getting my head smashed in quite badly. It's very difficult start. Like when you move in Hyde's Tower of Flame, man, I was there for about 6 hours trying to get through there.
Did you go straight there, or did you go through the forest?
No, I did the forest first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's because, well, they've got the normal enemies, and then you've got loads of Hide Knights there as well. And up the top before the, is it the Church of Blue?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cathedral of Blue.
Yeah, the Cathedral Blue, rather than a knight being there. There's a bloody
Dragon.
big dragon. Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah, I think I was someone playing it and they didn't realise there were changes, and they walked up and they freaked out because they'd played the game before. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, I had to give it a go because I'm curious to see how the difference is. It's just hard to spend the money when I've already spent full price. Actually, I got the collector's edition.
Yeah.
And I platinumed the game, and yeah, it's kind of hard to go pay again for a game I've already got.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. But the one thing is obviously it is obviously graphics are slightly, they're better. Obviously, graphics don't make everything. The lighting engine is better than the original, apparently, because apparently the lighting was a bit on the original Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, there weren't many places you needed the torch. The torch did come in handy in certain areas, but not because of darkness, just because of what it did, like in the fog and in Armada. When you had the torch out, you could see the water where it dropped off to.
Yeah. The ledge that got me the first time I went in there, bloody thing.
Just walk straight off
into the water and down a cliff. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, yeah. On this version, the areas that are darker, they're pitch black. They're pitch black dark, and you need a torch. But yeah. So anyway, Dark Souls 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool.
Interesting about that. My thoughts on it. Actually, when I saw the trailer was it Xbox? I didn't get excited. I was actually kind of, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I'm keen on this. I think I'm done. That's my kind of first thoughts, and I'm like, that's kind of sad, because all the other leaks and hypes from all the other Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2, I was really excited. But this, I just saw the trailer, and I was like, I don't know if I'm excited. I got excited when I started hearing, like you mentioned, Vati Vidya, talking about their behind doors.
The gameplay demo, yeah.
Hearing like Dave Control Live talk about it,
talking
about how it's going to work, and hearing Miyazaki describe the game, then I got excited.
Yeah, that I completely agree with you 100%. I watched the trailer, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's Dark Souls, cool. But then, not long after, as you say, Dave Control put his video up. I think it was a good sort of half an hour long, describing pretty much everything he'd seen in that demo. And yeah, it sounds very interesting. A lot of the stuff, there's so much stuff that's come out sort of with the different sort of battle stances and the sacrifice rituals and the way new weapons work, and there's so much stuff to take in, and I'm just like, yes, I'm actually really, really excited about it now.
Yeah.
And also with the information they've given away, now watching the trailer again, it's kind of given me a new vibe on things, like the at the end when you get the giant king stand up, didn't you? And he's like, he's on fire, and that's apparently Lord of Cinder. Yeah, and apparently there's multiple of these Lords of Cinders, and I don't know whether they're all going to be sort of ex Dark Souls bosses that are brought back in new form. I don't know what sort of your take on it.
Interesting. I didn't hear that it was multiple. I thought there was one Lord of Cinder. And
no, it's the Lords of Cinders. There's multiple.
I missed that. Because I had people speculating it might be Gwyn is back. And or it's the playable character. Because people have been toying with that idea from Dark Souls 2. Like, is this guy the chosen undead from the first game?
Yeah.
There's the little Easter egg and excuse me. In Dark Souls 2, where you can actually see the Lord Vessel in the building, in the mansion in Majula. Oh, you don't know about the Lord Vessel, do you? You haven't played Dark Souls 1.
No, that's cool. No, I do know. I have read up a lot of
So you
stuff.
do.
So yeah.
Okay, you do know a bit. There's also, like, talking about the ash. There's the ash you use to burn at the bonfires in Dark Souls 2. People speculate that could be chosen undead from previous cycles.
Yeah.
So there's always been the speculation for a while now about the chosen undead playing a bigger role in future games. And so I don't know how I feel about them actually doing it or not. I think it could be cool.
Yeah, I honestly think because it's going to be pretty cool. Because obviously, when I first saw it, it was the Lord of Cinder, but they then have I can't remember. Someone spoke to Miyazaki, and it is the Lords of Cinder, and there is more than one. So a lot of people are now saying, "Oh, it could be the people that have over time rekindled the flame. They are going to be the Lords of Cinders that have previously rekindled the flame, apparently." Don't know. So who knows? You know what From's like with their lore. It could go so many ways.
Oh, for sure. It looks good. I liked how Bloodborne looked. I liked the detail, and just you felt more immersive because the world was so well created.
Yeah.
And from the screenshots I've seen of Dark Souls 3, that's what I'm excited about. It's like Bloodborne, but you're playing Dark Souls. Like, it looks like Bloodborne.
Yeah, it's that's one thing that I did notice actually is the art style, and a lot of people said that about the first area that they played was very gothic looking, and it looked very much like Bloodborne, and it's obviously been built on the same engine as Bloodborne, so it has that same look, and I think it really suits Dark Souls. Seeing those leaked images, I think it looks spectacular. I think the art style really suits that game, and now the sort of the dark, because I think that's possibly what it is now. Is this is going to be played in one of the ages of dark rather than an age of light?
Oh yeah, that could be cool. Because we see the dying sun, and it's
yeah.
I don't know.
That image was so cool, like the sun just like leaking black,
bleeding.
Yeah, oh, so awesome. Just that's one thing that I love about From. Their art design is just
spot on.
It's so good.
Yeah,
but it's just like some of the stuff that's coming out. Like, obviously, I've jotted down a few things here about how many bits and bobs. Like 45 new enemies. That's not including previous enemies that are returning, and they've made a key point of that, saying that there are enemies returning plus 45 new enemy types. That seems like a considerable amount to me.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And obviously bosses, 15 new bosses, and once again this is a key to the Lords of Cinder, because they said 15 new bosses plus previous bosses that were in previous games who may return. So that, I don't know, obviously that may tie into the whole Lord of Cinders thing.
The Dragon Slayer's back.
Didn't we have enough of the Dragon Riders? Oh my god!
Oh no, not them. Dragon Riders are boring.
Oh, they're like, you fight one and then you go up there and there's two more of them. Like, oh, go away, Dragon Riders.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer is cool.
Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think that's what you said. I just completely
Went
took it as Dragon Rider, straight away, because I hate them.
Nah. You haven't met to the original Dragon Slayer.
No, I didn't actually. I see. That's one thing that I want or hope. I was hoping on some PS3 emulation, possibly for PS4, kind of like what Xbox had done, and then I could play Dark Souls, because I no longer have my PS3, so I'm not able to play Dark Souls, because I sold my PS3 when I got the PS4, thinking that I probably won't need it. And then obviously now I'm in these, I'm like, I want to play Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but I don't have a PS3.
You got to borrow one somehow.
Yeah, I phoned my friend up actually, and I was like, I need to borrow your PS3. He's like, I'd lend it to you, but I've just sold it. I was like, no.
You got to find a way. You got to play it before, especially before Dark Souls 3.
I have to. Yeah, it's a must. I will find it somehow, somewhere. I'll find one to borrow off one, I'm sure.
PC maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I suppose yeah. Because my mate, he doesn't use his PC a lot. He'd actually lend me his PC as well.
Sweet.
Ooh.
Yeah, PC. You probably want to mod it though. I've heard that the original port's not very good.
Yeah, I've heard it can be a bit sort of. That's a typical thing though. PC ports, they're always a bit rough around the edges.
Was the first PC game that From had done, I think.
Oh really?
Yeah, they'd never done PC.
Mm. Right. Yeah.
We're both excited. I think that's for sure.
Yeah. There's just so much. Oh, yeah, that was one thing I've made loads of notes here. The one thing that I wanted to point out: 60 minutes of cutscenes, which may be rendered in engine.
Oh.
That seems a lot for a Dark Souls game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what was in Dark Souls 2. I think it might be easy to think it's a lot, but it could just be down to simple things like entering new areas. They might just do a thing where you get to see where you're about to go.
Yeah, I suppose maybe boss CGIs, because you always get like a little video
intro.
But they did turn around and say that there'll be no red blood eyeball things from Dark Souls 2 whenever you see a new boss now. Apparently they've got rid of that, because apparently everyone hated that.
I didn't mind. I didn't see the problem.
It didn't bother me at all, but yeah, apparently a lot of people didn't like it, so they've got rid of it. Yeah,
weird.
Very strange. So yeah, it's Dark Souls 3. Very, very much. I can't wait. So I'd say the final little piece, because I know you're going to have to shoot off soon, aren't you?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Yep. We'll make this one quick then. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, I've been waiting for this for so long.
So very long. Well, when did they first tease that? It was when they announced the PlayStation 3. They did that CGI, and it's been since then. Everyone's been like, "Oh, we want it," and it's been an absolute want from everyone. And we didn't think we was ever going to see it, and then yeah,
They showed it. What was interesting is, I'm sure they've kind of always said, "Now we're not going to do it."
They have said a few times that they categorically are not going to make it. I think possibly doing that though, just to lead us on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, it was actually interesting. Like, heard someone mention last year at E3, I think it was, they had the Final Fantasy VII logo came up, and everyone kind of got excited. And it was the PC port.
PC ports, yeah.
And so it was the best. Sony just pulled off. Square Enix just pulled off the best year-long troll.
Yeah.
People given up on the idea because they're like, "Oh, it's just PC port. That's all they're going to do."
Port. Yeah.
And then now, a year later, bam.
And there's the one word there as well, which makes it all
remake,
not remaster. Yes. Which is very interesting, and I don't know how they're going to play it, to be honest. I was just thinking about it, sort of, are they going to keep the turn-based battle systems, the top-down view, on-screen enemies, or random encounters still? There's so much, like...
I honestly don't know if they can keep turn-based.
No.
I wouldn't mind it because I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
But most games are moving away. Like, people are too impatient for turn-based games these days.
On that note, though, I've been sort of looking around, and a lot of people are actually kind of saying, I will be very upset if they didn't do turn-based.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I think if they want to bring new people in, I think they need to get rid of turn-based. But if they're just aiming at the people that played it before, I think they could quite easily keep it as turn-based. Because people like us, I'd quite happily keep it turn-based, because I think that's kind of a core point of the game. That's how I know
agree.
it. Yeah.
Agree. See, my brother, both of us are big fans, but we played it together as kids. He we've discussed this topic a while ago, a few years back, when Crisis Core came out, and we talked about the idea of them remaking it as in the kind of look of Crisis Core, because that was quite fancy back then. And I said that I'd like the fighting to stay turn-based, but he was like, no, I would want it Crisis Core action. I needed it to be action. So both of us had liked it originally, but he was on the line of wanting it action, more action RPG, and I was happy for it to be turn-based. I wouldn't mind it being Final Fantasy 15 fighting, but I think I'd prefer it more turn-based.
Yeah.
I think random encounters maybe move into, I guess it could be random. You see the enemy, and so it's more, I don't want top-down view. I'd like it to be, you're more immersed in the world. I'd love to be immersed in Midgar, like you get immersed in the Final Fantasy 15 world.
That
would just be awesome. Like you follow behind, third person, but you could see the enemies and you encounter. I don't want this stupid loading screen between fights and encounters. I'd want it to be instant, but happy for that to be turn-based.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean they kind of if it was turn-based, they'd have to go kind of down the route as like what 13 was, wasn't it? That was obviously full 3D, but then you'd hit your area and you'd have a quick pin out to your turn-based area, wouldn't you? That's if they was doing it turn-based. So I don't know that one. I definitely think that they should have on-screen enemies rather than random encounters.
Yeah, for sure.
I think random encounters was an old mechanic that we could do away with, most definitely. Yeah.
I just one thing, they have to keep materia similar.
Yes.
If they lose that and take away it's just how that worked, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, I think that was a massive key part to customizing your characters and having everyone set up how you wanted was with your materia. I don't think they'll get rid of that. I honestly don't. And if they did, they'd be crazy.
Did you ever manage to get it, your materia chaining, like doing chaining magic?
I don't think I did.
You could do it, like if you got double ups and stuff and you got linked materia, you could make it so something would happen and you could do several spells at once. It was pretty cool.
No, I don't think I've ever really. See, the thing is, I do love the Final Fantasy games, but when it comes to the battle system, I'm kind of always just on that top layer.
Yeah,
I find it hard to get down deep because my brain processes information a bit slow. So it's like when I played, I think it was 12. Like I set up 1 or 2 gambits and I went on. My friend, he basically had all his gambits set up so he could just walk into battle and the computer did everything for him. I was just like, how the hell did you do that? And he's just got this huge list of gambits. I'm like, man, my brain couldn't even work that out. I probably had like 2 or 3 for each character.
Yeah, see, I'm not. I don't get into the making the computer do it. That's why I didn't like 13. I couldn't get into it, is because it was things would do it yourself, and I like control.
Yeah, that was just like auto battle every time, and the only thing you really had to concentrate on was doing the sorting out your paradigm shifts, and that's the only thing you really had to concentrate on. Really,
I don't even know what they are because I gave up pretty quick on that game.
Oh, really?
I just couldn't get into it. Hated it.
See, I did like it. I got into it. I finished it. Went all the way through, but it didn't really open out till you sort of played at least 30 hours. But then, the story was pretty good. But the sequels to it were pretty rough. Obviously, X2 and Lightning Returns. I didn't even play Lightning Returns. That's the only Final Fantasy game I've ever skipped.
No, so I haven't played. Like 10 is the last one I played right through. So I'm really keen for 15 to be good.
I've just started playing 10 again actually because I picked up the remaster version for PS4.
Oh, nice.
I just started playing that again. Oh, such a good game.
Man, I spent hours in Blitzball.
Once again, see, that never really got into Blitzball. Didn't really
was
play it.
awesome. I actually wanted at the time. I wanted them to make a game just like that, so you could play with your friends, co-op or multiplayer.
Mm.
It'd have been awesome.
Yeah, that was one thing because with the Blitzball, I think it was it Wacker. The only way you could get his final overdrive was
completing a Blitzball mission.
Yeah, so I never ever did get that because I was just horrendous at Blitzball. Absolutely horrific.
I think I got my team so good I could actually score most of my players from my own goal.
Wow.
Like you can get so overpowered in it, it's quite funny.
Yeah, well, so
that's
yes. So yeah, that's well. There's not really a lot we can obviously say about the old Final Fantasy VII because they've don't know much at the moment. But apparently, we've got more information coming this winter, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for that.
I just hope it's not too far away.
No, I. The thing is, though, I think we'll know come winter whether it'll be 2016 or 2017. I've got a feeling it's going to be 2017.
Oh, that disappoints me. I like how From Software do it. You hear of a game, it's out within 9 months.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Dark Souls 3, here's a trailer. It was out in early 2016.
Same thing with Bloodborne. It was announced same time last year, out March.
Yeah, and it came out in Christmas? It was at Christmas time, wasn't it? Or was it March?
March, yeah.
March, yes, March. Yeah.
19th of March.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it was. That's what happened with Last Guardian. They announced that. God, how long? I can't even remember when they first announced that. It's ridiculous.
7 years ago or something? 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
It was at the start of the PlayStation 3 cycle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, absolutely crazy. I do agree with you, though. They need to not announce games too early. They need to sort of wait until they're close to finishing the game. All right, here's this game. It's coming out in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, too much hype and too much lead up time, to games. Just I think it damages them. Or it potentially can.
Yes, I totally agree. It often does. It often does damage a game because everyone gets so excited, and then it kind of tails off sometimes though because they leave it so long. It's just like, ugh. But then they leave too much room to live up to. Like The Last Guardian, that's got a hell of a lot to live up to now because of all the hype over the years. It's got to be a good game or they're going to be in trouble.
And as I said earlier, I really want it to be a good game to try and change that typical long development game.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think also with the length of time we lead up is also the amount of information. Like I really enjoyed Dark Souls 2, and I think I feel bad for the director because I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
And he's received a lot of flack from the community or fans of Dark Souls 1, and I think it's a little unfair because he did still do it's a great job game. It's better than most games that came out last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whenever it came out. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, they last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah. Must
20...
be. Yeah, we've had a Souls game every year.
I think it was early 2014, wasn't it? No,
yeah.
It was or was it Christmas 2013?
It was March as well. It was March 14. It was one of the best games at its time, but I think maybe it was how Namco dealt with it. I knew too much, and I think I spoiled it for myself. I knew too much about the game. There were very little surprises in the game, whereas Bloodborne, purposely they kept things from us.
Yeah, that's what I totally agree. Like everyone was like, "Oh, it all looks the same," because they were literally only showing us Yharnam.
The first half an hour
was it, and they weren't showing anything else. And that when I played it, I was like, "Yeah," and then when it all changes, I was like, "What the hell? Where did all this come from?"
Yeah, and I kind of like at the same time I like how Miyazaki and From Software, because it's not just Miyazaki. We've got to give credit to the whole team.
Oh, absolutely.
I think sometimes we credit these directors like Kojima and Miyazaki with too much credit because they still rely on a team to make them as good as they are. The way they told the story, like I thought it was a gothic horror. The whole game, and it was going to be werewolves, and then you get halfway through the game, and I sat back and was like, "Wait a minute, This isn't a werewolf horror.
It is completely not a werewolf horror. Yeah.
No, but it did it so naturally and smooth that it wasn't like this. I'm playing a different game now. It kind of just made sense, even though it doesn't.
Yeah,
and I really like that.
Yeah. It was a very smooth transition, and it's like, hold on, what's going on here? We've just gradually just ebbed away, and now it's it moved from as you say, your gothic horror to supernatural, sort of cosmic horror, quite nicely. Yeah, and it's just like, wow, they did a fantastic job of doing that. And as I say, I think the only thing Miyazaki worked on that was level design. So as you say, you have to say a great sort of well done to the team that make these games, because they do a really good job, and as you say, they don't get enough praise, I don't think.
No,
I totally agree with you on that.
And it's, we set up these directors or these lead people too high, and when they fall hard. But it's not always their fault. So. And it's the same thing with the director of Dark Souls 2. I think he'd be up there with some of the top directors, and he directed the DLC, and that's some of the best games. I think that maybe they were under too much pressure, and so a few things were left out of Dark Souls. Not left out because it was a full game. I mean, they just didn't have time to just tweak it and get it to perfection.
Certain bits and bobs. Yeah, well, as you say, the DLC was on a different level. It was really, really good. I think they kind of got their claws into what makes a Dark Souls game when they made the DLC.
Yeah, it was good. Very top notch.
Cool.
Well, should we leave it there?
Yes, so I shall say thank you to everyone for listening. It's been a much longer episode this week, obviously, because bringing Vader on board. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Awesome, and we shall see you again soon.
Yep, have a good one.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.